Hey everybody, welcome to Moment of Clarity. This is the news show, the slash occasionally comedy show that's every single weekday except sometimes. And you can get it always at leecamp.com. So let's get into this. I want to talk about what's going to happen with this election. I've already talked a little about it before, but as it gets closer, the predictions become more obvious. And I want to go through again what it seems very evident is more and more likely. Let's say as this catastrophe nears, as this clusterfuck begins to absorb us, just melt over us, and you can just I think many Americans will just choose to just let it be, just let it just melt into it, and you just dissolve into the fucking shitstorm. Or others will try and fight it, but I can sometimes feel like boxing waves. But so here's the thing, is many of you know where I stand on this election or any of the elections between the two corporate parties. Two corporate parties are really one corporate party, right? But I very much believe in voting because I think there's a lot of things to vote for other than just the presidency, other than just the top shithead. Also, I've always fought for legitimate elections. I've always felt that of what little bit of democracy we have left that has not been completely co-opted, bought out, taken over, and fucking shoved up the ass of the oligarchs, whatever's left, we should hold on to. We should try and continue to have. And so I've often fought for years, been fighting for legitimate elections. Talk more about that in a second. But I want to show you what's already happening in the lead up to this election. You may have seen this part on some of the mainstream media, but I'll get into the redacted angles in a moment. But there's already like just crazy catastrophic lines. I don't want to say catastrophic, but crazy lines for voting, which is by design. They want it to be as difficult as possible. Let's see if I can share this video with you real quick. Ignore the tentacle porn tabs that I have open. There we go. 1 second. All right. So this is a line in Georgia. There's not really any audio to this. But this is already going on in Georgia. This is this is weeks out from the election. And you have people, and I get that they're slightly more spaced out because of the pandemic. Before pre-pandemic times, you could just have everybody, all stacked on top of each other, kind of like a giant orgy. We could just each be quietly inside of each other, and that was lovely. But nowadays, pandemic, they're spaced out a little more. But this is by design, right? This is not an accident. This is not, whoa, look, everybody just really wants to vote. No, they're trying to make it as difficult as possible to vote. They've limited the number of polling places. They've gotten rid of as many the voting machines at the mail, at the USPS, not voting machines, but machines that count the incoming mail at the USPS. And as I've said, that's both parties that have gutted our postal service. So don't let them tell you it's just the Republicans. However, a lot of this is the Republicans. In general, in the general election, sorry to use general twice, but in the general election, it benefits the Democrats to have more people vote, and it benefits Republicans to have as few people vote as possible. So in the general election, the Republicans try and stop people from voting, and the Democrats want people to vote. In the primary election, that's different, right? We've seen immense rigging by the Democrats in their own primary because they needed to stop Bernie Sanders from actually winning the thing, and Obama jumped up out of nowhere and got his chimney sweep Pete Buttigieg to endorse Biden right before Super Tuesday, and several of the other candidates also dropped out. Anyway, that's one of the many ways that Democrats have rigged their own primaries. So this is not me saying only the Republicans rig no, okay? Both sides rig. The Democrats rig their primary. But in the general election, it's simply a fact that in most places, the Democrats just want as many people to vote as possible. So that means in the general election, if the Republicans usually responsible for more of the voter suppression. They've done things like interstate cross-check that has purged millions from the voter rolls. They, like I said, decreased the number of polling places, decreased the polling hours, decrease how long early voting can go, decrease how long you have to register to vote. There's a million ways to cut people off from the rolls. Now, a lot of people want to run with this horse shit that, like, if I talk about how there's voter suppression, that means I'm fucking shilling for Joe Biden. No, I want a legit fucking election, as close as we can get, okay? That's all I'm saying. I don't, like, as I've always said, these are two corporate candidates. There are certain things that some might do better than the other. They're both racist warmongers. They're both accused of sexual assault multiple times. There's so many things that are very similar between these two presidential candidates. And I have not avoided talking about any of that. But that doesn't mean I don't want a legit election. If you see anyone who's like, oh, no, if you talk about voter suppression and what the Republicans are doing, if you even mention it, that means you're pro-Biden, you're liberal. Then they're fucking idiots, okay? This does not make me a cheerleader for Joe Biden because I want a legit goddamn election. So I just want to make that clear. Don't try and do that shit. And by the way, what is a cheerleader? Why do we have cheerleaders? Do you need someone to lead a cheer? Can't people just go woo? You need someone to go 1, 2, 3, woo. Just fucking cheer if you want to cheer. Why do we need leaders? This gets to the presidential election. My hatred of cheerleaders along with my hatred of leaders. Why do we need leaders or cheerleaders? We don't need people to lead our cheers. Why in a high school, middle school where the cheerleaders were like the sought after, like, ooh, she's a cheerleader. Oh, I'm dating a cheerleader, like in high school. It's like, aren't they all like, it's like some sort of Stepford Wives. They're all in the same uniform, fucking creepy, all of their hair dyed the same color. It's like, is that what most men want? Is it like I want the cyborg that I can't tell from the other cyborgs? I'm not trying to offend anybody who was a cheerleader in high school. I'm just saying it's fucking weird. Okay? I don't know why are there cheerleaders and why are people into them? And then there's the whole, like, later in life, do you dress up in the bedroom? Hey, honey, will you dress up as a cheerleader? What? Why? The fuck? And I don't care. This is not an anti-woman thing. I don't care if you're two guys dating and one of them wants the other to dress up like a cheerleader. Plus, there are male cheerleaders, too. George W. Bush was a male cheerleader. I knew a guy in college who was a cheerleader. So there's male cheerleaders. So why dress up as... I've never understood the fucking dress up for the sex. What? Just, are you not good enough? Is the human being not good enough? I don't, like... No, I need you to wear. Plus, it's awkward if the person's in a cheerleader outfit, but they're, you're getting up there in the years. They're like, ow, my knee. That's not a cheer I remember from back in the high school days. Ow, my knee. Which cheer are you trying to lead me in? I don't know. Never understood the dress up thing. But anyway, here is what Trump will want to happen on Election Day. Which it's already clear, okay? Donald Trump, I mean, he's a con man. He's a snake oil salesman. It's ridiculously obvious. You're a fucking idiot if you don't see it. I get that some people are like, I'm really upset with the system, so I like Donald Trump because he fucks shit up. All right, then just say that. Just say, I want a guy who fucks all the shit up. Just say that. Don't run around acting like Donald Trump is somehow genuine or somehow not a snake oil salesman or somehow not a fucking con man. I mean, it's ridiculously obvious, and you look like a fool. So if you want to support him because he fucks shit up, then just say that. Wear the T-shirt. Hey, I like that guy who's a con man because he fucks all the shit up. Okay, at least you're being honest. Anyway, what Donald Trump wants to happen, there's three possibilities of what will happen in the election, right? You have a landslide for Biden, landslide for Trump, or close enough that they're somewhat close. If it's a landslide, for Trump, then it'll probably be over rather quickly. If it's a landslide for Biden, or even if it's close, either one, even when it's a landslide or it's close, Trump just wants chaos on election day and night and the following days. And they're already showing that, right? They're trying to create chaos because they know that if there's chaos going into election day, then and on election day, then they can just declare that they won or that it's not a legit election or whatever. Any kind of chaos, he wins. In a way, he wins. Now, if that happens, people have to be ready to fucking fight for a legit result. And I would say the same if it were Biden creating chaos, but that's not the Democrats' game plan, right? The Democrats' game plan is as many people vote as possible and try and win, with that, because that's just how the statistics work out. Now, if we lived in a different world where the Republicans wanted all the people to vote and the Democrats did better if they didn't, then you might see the reverse. But in this case, Democrats trying to get people to vote, Republicans not. But of course, the Democrats are caught in this catch-22, and the liberals on the fucking mainstream garbage airwaves, they're caught in this catch-22 because all through the primaries and everything, we have a completely unaccountable, illegitimate, fucking garbage electoral system. And then when we get to the general, they want to tell us it's all legit so that you don't get too angry at it. Because we have like the fucking worst, these touchscreen garbage machines. I mean, nowhere else in the world do they do it like this. Nowhere else, no other country will they allow you to just fucking put your fucking finger on a goddamn glorified speaking spell and go, I voted for who knows what the fuck. And you walk out. It's insane. It's nuts. There's nowhere else, no other country, or will they allow it? Are they okay with it? There's large studies that have shown that we have the worst electoral system in the Western world. And then we point to other countries and go, your election wasn't legitimate. Oh, really? Who the fuck are you to talk? But so the Democrats want you to believe in the system, and so they don't highlight these things. They don't talk that much about how fucked our machines are, how they block the audits, all that shit, because they want you to just have faith in the system. But then they try and claim Russia hacked your election, biggity blue, even though almost all of the voting systems in our country are not hooked to the internet. There are a few that should not be hooked to the internet that are, but in general, almost none of them are hooked to the internet. The way to hack our elections, if you were really going to do it, is in person. CBS did the one story. They're not covering it much. They did one little story where they showed how easy it is to hack a voting machine in person. If you have the right technology with you, you could walk in and do it in a couple of minutes. But in terms of these scary outside forces, Russia's going to get to the election. China's going to do it. That's horseshit. Utter garbage. So, all right. So Trump is sowing this chaos, and he wants it to be chaos the night of. And they're not preparing people to realize that the counting of this election, if it's done even remotely legitimately, should take a few days minimum. But they've set up this system in America where we all believe that at fucking midnight on the election day, they announce our winner. And they could announce it if it's somewhat of a landslide, but it's quite possible it's close. And at that point, Trump will declare he won no matter what. You know that. You know that's who he is. You know that's what he'll do. And if he didn't win, and it's not because I'm for Biden, for corporate America, for any of that, it's because I'm for a legitimate result, some little fraction of a remaining goddamn inkling of a democracy. If that happens, that Trump claims victory when they're not done counting, then it really is going to come down to the people. It's going to come down to what the people believe and what the people do, and whether they fight back and demand a legit election, or whether they go, oh man, that just sucks. I guess the thing happened with the thing. So it's going to be up to you. It's going to be up to us, whatever happens. I mean, you have to wait and see. But people should be ready, and they should be ready to stand up and defend it. Should be ready to fight back. But the media is not setting people up for that because they want everyone to believe that there's never any trouble in the American election. It all goes smooth. There's no problem here. That's what they want to tell you. All right, I want to move on to another topic. This is, it's actually good news in a way. It's how people are reacting. Speaking of fighting back, it's how people are reacting to the massive number of evictions that are coming. Obviously, people across this country and to some degree all around the world, but the United States perhaps has it worse, are getting evicted or are on the chopping block to lose their homes, lose their apartments, lose their housing. The estimates range from 28 million to 40-some million people facing eviction. The CDC claimed that there's a halt to evictions until January. However, that's in a lot of ways not true for a lot of people. It's true for some people, but for one thing, they can bring you to court and demand, no matter what the CDC said, that they're kicking you out anyway. And if you have a shit judge, which most people end up with a shit judge, they'll just be like, yeah, kick them out. Who cares? Because the job of most judges is to defend the empire, and the empire is all about unfettered capitalism, and unfettered capitalism is about kicking you out on your goddamn ass because a pandemic cost you your job. That's how capitalism works. That's how this garbage dumpster fire of an economy works. Kick you out because of something that is completely out of your control. So people are fighting back. People are standing up, and that's what I want to show you. It's happening differently in a lot of cities. The fighting back is truly incredible, and so I want to show you that. Let's see here. Okay, this time do not ignore the tentacle porn. This time I think you should enjoy it. Okay, so this is what's happening in Kansas City. Kansas City. I should give a little explanation. These are the courts, because in order to kick someone out of their apartment, usually they take you to court, and usually the judge just signs off on it, bang a gavel, get the fuck out, all right, see you later, good luck living under a bridge, and they just do that all day long. And so these activists ran up and chained the court closed. All right, so that is in Kansas City. Those fucking heroes went and chained to that courthouse closed to stop the evictions, which I think is goddamn incredible. That's exactly what needs to happen. People standing up, fighting back, stopping these evictions, however you can. Stand up for your neighbors. And it can work, because if enough people stand up to stop these things, then a lot of times the system, the corporate system, the large entities that rule over these decisions realize that if they keep pushing forward with it, then the fight back, the pushback, as Cornel West said, as the great Professor Cornel West said, the beautiful pushback. If they realize that the beautiful pushback will be more powerful, then they start to worry that the whole system could devolve, that it could start to lose its authority, its sheen of authority that it has plastered over its face like a cucumber mask at a spa. They've got that goop over them, and it's the sheen of authority. And they're afraid they'll start to lose that. And if they start to lose that, then who knows where the bottom is? Who knows how many eviction orders people will begin ignoring? So often they'll decide to delay these things if enough people are fighting back, or there can even be some rent forgiveness and things like that. People are fighting for rent forgiveness. That's another thing that's going on in various cities. And for those of you who are, I'll be considerate. I'll be cordial, and I'll say not bright enough to understand that this is what fucking heroes look like. These people chaining this courthouse, and you are saying things like, "Oh, they're breaking the law. The law's the law. Don't do the crime unless you do the time," or whatever the fuck. These laws are disgusting, and they're tearing lives apart. And so if you actually want to get in a discussion, a moral discussion, as to what someone should do ethically, if there's a law that is wrong, that is destroying lives, then that law should be broken. It is a moral obligation to break a law that is wrong. And so to watch courts across this nation throw people out of their homes endlessly while we're in the middle of a pandemic, while the economy is nearly shut down for a lot of people, while the so-called first line, workers, the necessary workers, the essential workers have to be out there. They're often the ones earning minimum wage, right? Many of you may be them. They're often the ones that are earning the lowest level, while the CEOs rake in 200, 300, 400 times what your average worker gets. And yet the apparently the essential workers are the ones who are going broke during this time. And so people are getting kicked out of their homes. They're getting they've got 4 months rent amassed, added up. While there's nowhere to get a job, they can't find a job, they can't deal with this. Their kids aren't in school. How are they going to pay for daycare and all the rent and everything at the same time? And so there's no reason people should be kicked out of their homes right now. And I also talked about on Redacted Tonight, or will be talking about on upcoming Redacted Tonight, we have 17 million vacant homes in the United States of America. That's not even counting all the ones that will go vacant when these evictions go through. That's just normal. That's just any given day, 17 million vacant homes and houses. So don't tell me we don't have enough room. Don't tell me we don't have enough houses. What these people did by closing off that courthouse is beautiful. It's wonderful. It's what we should all be cheering on. And that's just one example. Many people across the nation are pushing for canceling the rent, canceling the money owed to these landlords. The government could bail out the landlords so that people don't have to pay that rent. I mean, if they can give $4.25 trillion to Wall Street in the middle of this, then they can bail out some landlords and allow people to stay inside their homes. In Los Angeles, I'm going to go through some more examples. So that was Kansas City. In Los Angeles, they have created rapid response teams that are going to places where the cops have come to kick people out of their homes and apartments, and they're going there and they're showing up as quickly as possible. And sometimes they're putting their bodies in the way, creating a physical blockade between the police and the tenants. But more often than not, what they're doing is just talking to the cops about what the rights are that the tenants have. Because lots of times cops don't know your rights. Cops are often sent, like, for example, if they're sent to evict you, they were sent by their higher up, go evict these people. The court said so. And they don't know what rights a tenant has. They don't study that shit. They don't study goddamn anything. In some of the states in our country, you can become a cop with fucking 2 hours on a Sunday. That's your training. That's what it is. You go watch Lethal Weapon twice, and then they give you a badge. I mean, there's no training. Cops don't know what your rights are half the time. So these rapid response teams go there, which, by the way, I think they should have like awesome rapid response cars that look like, like the ambulance in the Ghostbuster movies, right? Where they have like a few weird lights on and they fucking go down the street and you're like, what the fuck was that thing? That they should, rapid response teams should absolutely have those. Just weird looking cars tearing through traffic to go protect tenants that are getting kicked out. Anyway, they show up and they explain, they talk to the cops, they mediate to the cops, because if you're involved in one of these rapid response teams, you're taught, how to de-escalate. You're probably a little calmer than the tenants who are afraid they're literally going to be sleeping on that sidewalk tonight. And so you have a calm conversation with the police about the rights between the tenants and explain it to the cops. And anyway, it can go a long way to protecting people as they're almost getting kicked out of their apartments and houses. Another one is in Philadelphia, and this is the one we'll be covering on Redacted tonight. In Philadelphia, there's a group of also heroes and heroines, for the ones who like to do the drugs, that have been keeping a list of vacant homes that are just around, just empty houses that they know are vacant, that they know no one lives in, and taking people who've been evicted, who've been kicked out of their home, who are homeless, and just moving them into these vacant houses. And some of the time they've been doing it like in the middle of the night, so the neighbors don't call the cops, or they've been doing it in a orange vest and a hard hat, so they look like they're official. You got to dress. If you're going to give someone a house in this country, you got to dress up real nice. You got to dress up in a trick outfit, because giving someone a house is highly illegal. Oh my God, we're a horrible human being. You're giving someone a house. And so they just move them in. And of course, you have more or less success with this. Some of the time the cops come the next day and kick people out. Some of the time the people get to stay in the vacant homes for weeks, months, because no one cares, and you got a vacant home and they can live there, and you just gain them 3-4 extra months of somewhere to live. It's fucking incredible. And they're doing that in Philadelphia. And I think that, people should be starting these things up in cities around America. You should be starting up rapid response teams, starting up tenants' rights groups, starting up end the rent, cancel the rent protests, starting up all different types of activism, of standing up, of fighting back, of being a part of the beautiful pushback to create a better situation than the fucking one we're in, because it's a goddamn catastrophe. These fucking lawmakers, I mean, they're responsible for this. They're responsible for the fact that this pandemic has been so bad. We could have done better, like many other countries have. They're responsible for the fact that the economy is collapsing like this. And then they're responsible for never asking a single goddamn question about capitalism, which is built on endless consumption, endless buying up and spitting out. And the moment it stops, the moment it pauses, the moment people say, hey, don't go to a restaurant tonight, all of a sudden everything starts collapsing down around you, because the system is based on endless greed, consumption, production, and waste. That is it. There's no accounting for a sustainability, no accounting for our future, no accounting for a livable world. None of that. None of that's even considered. We have an economic system built on just fucking trash ideas. I mean, and you realize this has only been around. I mean, they didn't use the word economist until like the 1920s. And it wasn't even common. They didn't use the term GDP until after World War II. It started in World War II. So if GDP didn't exist until World War II, how is it crushing countries now? Do you understand how powerful these idiot economic ideas are? Ideas that we didn't even have until World War II are now responsible for crushing countries. It's our imaginary bullshit is destroying the world. And we don't even talk, we're not even allowed to talk about it. You're not even allowed to have the discussion. Please, somebody send me the 10-minute CNN clip where they calmly, in a substantive way, discuss capitalism. I'd love to see it. All right, I'm going to go on to, actually, one other thing that people are doing. So I listed, Philadelphia, that was Kansas City, that was Los Angeles. One more I want to say is mutual aid. This doesn't have to do with housing, but it has to do with food. People need food out there. Mutual aid groups are popping up around the country. You could Google mutual aid in your city and probably find one of these meetups, one of these groups. And they're basically, I mean, they work with things more than just food. They are trying to help people stay in their homes and things like that. But one of the biggest things they're doing is getting food to people who have no way to buy food in the middle of this pandemic. Literally, they go on daily trips bringing bags of groceries to people absolutely free. That's what they're involved in. Here in DC, they're doing really well. Each different area of DC has a different mutual aid that they, there's different processes. There's no president. There's no CEO douchebag running it. It's just neighbors getting together, being like, hey, turns out people need food. Here's food. Done. End of equation. You don't have to sign a contract that's limited liability company to get your baloney in a sack. Hey, sign this, and also we need you to wear this T-shirt that says you're sponsored by Citibank so that you can get a pack of Lunchables. No, all you got to do is look up mutual aid and call them up, and if they have room and enough groceries, they will give you free groceries. So, all right, moving on to one more topic. Let's see here, and I think I have an article for this one. This has to do with racist policing. Oh, by the way, share this. Let everyone know, please, if you're new to this. I do these every single day, every single weekday, except sometimes. So write that down in your calendar. Every single weekday, except sometimes. Don't show up on the sometimes, because if you show up on the sometimes, nobody's going to be here. But anyway, you can find it almost every day at leecamp.com. Just go to leecamp.com. There's other things too. There's Redacted Tonight. There's my podcast, my columns and things. So you can find all of that at leecamp.com. And because I'm incredibly censored, very suppressed, you have to make a choice whether you want this content or want to see my columns or want to see my TV show. And it's going to have to actually be, I know it takes a lot of effort, but it has to be a mental choice of yours where you go, I would like to look that up and go find it, because they're not going to feed it to you. They're not going to be like, oh, you like this? Well, you would like fucking Redacted Tonight. No, the algorithms are done with me because I say things like everything I've already said to you. So, all right, moving on. It's always good to, we all kind of know the police are racist in one way or another, but it's good to get the actual numbers, the actual reporting, the actual studies that show us what we're dealing with. Because a lot of people, they'll go, I've never seen any racist police, or, not everybody's had even many experiences with police, especially if you live in a not heavily populated area. But, so it's good to see the studies that really show you what people are dealing with, really show you the nitty gritty, the numbers. So this is a report out of Los Angeles. As you can see, it's covered at it's from Black Agenda Report, but it's on popularresistance.org, and it is. That's actually the wrong one. Okay, well, I know what it says, I believe, but that's not the article I wanted to show you. So, never mind. Oh, all right. I'll have to type it in like a goddamn troglodyte. Give me a second. Hold on. I'm having my assistant type it in. Can't you tell? Okay. Much better. Let's try it now. Oh, maybe it was the article, the same article. Anyway, whatever. Maybe I had it right before. Either way, I have it right now, whether I had it right before or not. Blacks in LA are nearly 4 times as likely to be cited by police. And so this is out of Los Angeles Police Department. This is a report released by the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. They analyzed low-level infractions in California between 2017 and 2019 and found that the LAPD and police agencies across the state disproportionately target Black residents. Now, many of you may know, you're kind of like, yeah, duh, but the numbers may still shock you. These advocacy groups collected data on the most minor municipal offenses. So here are some of the key findings, and I'm gonna lead with the most insane one. Despite being only 7% of the adult population, so Black people in Los Angeles are 7% of the population. Black Angelinos, meaning Los Angeles residents, accounted for 27% of drinking in public infractions, 33% of sleeping or sitting, loitering tickets, and 63% of loitering while standing citations. 7% of the population, and they get 63 fucking percent of the loitering while standing citations. How insane is that? That is like, because you got to figure, if they're only 7% of the population, the cops have to like seek them out. Like you have to go and find where the Black people are in Los Angeles. Because if they're only 7% of the population, that means you go almost through most of the city and you're not going to find that many Black people. You're going to find a few here, a few there. But this is not one of the cities in America where it is a very large Black population. 7%. 7 fucking percent. A small Black population, and yet the cops are running around finding them and giving them loitering while standing citations is one example. And can you tell me what the fuck is loitering while standing? What the fuck happened to a free country? You can't fucking stand somewhere? And I'm sorry to use fuck so much, but when you're talking about being given a citation for standing, and this is about the time to say you won't stand for it. But I just like, are you goddamn assholes? This is the right wing. This is the garbage that they put forward. When they're like, oh, free country. If you don't like it, leave. This is a free country. It's not a free country. It's not a free country. If you can't stand somewhere, if you can't walk around with alcoholic beverage, it's not a free country. Bullshit free country. And a lot of people, I think, might go, well, okay, that sounds a little racist, but it's just a citation. It's not a big deal, right? Just give you a little piece of paper. But the people who say that aren't thinking it through, because there's a lot of things that come along with a citation. One is it gets you in the system, okay? So now the police have you in the system, and next time they see you for something else, let's say it's another standing violation, you're standing still, or something else, you're smoking a joint. I guess that's legal in LA, but whatever, some small violation of something, maybe a traffic violation. And then they look you up in their little computer and they go, oh, he's had former citations. He's in our system. He's a criminal because he was standing somewhere. And so now you're in the system, and that makes it worse going forward. Furthermore, there can be problems with paying it. People often, if they're getting standing violations, they tend to be not rich people, because guess what? Rich people are less likely to be standing around. I'm sorry, these are crazy facts about reality. They tend to stand around in their goddamn, fucking penthouses where they don't get these citations, and they don't get these citations because they are rich people. The cops don't walk up to people in 3-piece suits and say, why you standing here? Can I give you a citation for standing here? And then what was it? 27% or something of the publicly drinking an alcoholic beverage. Now, okay, technically illegal to walk around with an alcoholic beverage. One of the stupidest laws on the books outside of standing somewhere. But as in New York City, these are commonly those types of citations and laws and things are used almost exclusively against people of color. In New York City, Matt Taibbi wrote a book called The Great Divide, I believe, or The Divide. Can't remember, one or the other. And he talks about in New York City, they give out these, walking around with an alcoholic beverage, open alcoholic beverage, right? And it turns out only 4% of those arrests or citations are given to white people. Meaning, if you're white in New York City, you can walk around with an alcoholic beverage. If you're black in New York City, you can't. See, these things are on the books. These little laws are on the books in order to allow racist policing. I mean, that is their main use. It allows cops to go up to people standing somewhere and harass them and give them citations. And if they talk back or they fight back, then they're arrested for that. So then you have a new reason to arrest them. Or it allows them to search the people and find a joint where marijuana is not legal, or find some other small amount of drug, which our drug laws are fucking ridiculous, and then arrest them for that. So it allows cops to harass and arrest people of color. That is the whole point of these tiny citations, like standing still. And like, people should be furious that we claim to even slightly live in a free society and you can get arrested for standing still. Do you need any more proof that our policing system is horseshit? That our laws are horseshit? People are being arrested for standing somewhere? Go fuck yourself. I haven't read all this article, so let's see if there's other good notes in here. They're saying that there's similar treatment in places outside of Los Angeles, such as San Diego, and many other areas have similar numbers to this. Black residents in LA were 3.8 times more likely to be cited for minor infractions. Overall, Black residents in California are 9.7 times more likely to receive a citation for local infractions than white residents. And Latinx residents were 5.8 times more likely to be cited than white neighbors. So, again, these may seem like small things. Like, oh, okay, well, it's a racist system, but at least it's just a loitering citation. But no, that leads down a path. And the police and our system want to push people down that path. They want to get people of color into the system. They want to make it harder for you to operate in your regular lives. Not to mention, if you do get locked up for, let's say, 6 months, a year or something, well, first of all, when you get out, now it's that much harder to get a job. Often you'll lose public assistance. Often it destroys lives, right? You come out, you no longer have your girlfriend. Your wife has left you. She took the kid with them. Whatever else. Your mom doesn't want to speak to you because she believes that you shouldn't have been arrested for those drugs. You don't have any money. You can't get a job because they're like, where you been for a year? It just keeps snowballing. And then people are like, well, what the fuck am I going to do for cash? So then they start going back to crime because they're going to fucking die of starvation if they don't find some money. And it pushes people down this path. I'm not saying it's okay to rob people. I'm just saying it pushes people down this path. And it doesn't need to be this way. We could actually have a free country. We could actually have policing that is completely different, a completely new version of policing that is more community-based, that isn't designed to destroy lives and lock people up for years for nothing infractions. But we don't have that discussion, you know? We have Mr. Racist in Chief Donald Trump, who clearly doesn't give a fuck about people of color. And then you have Joe Biden, who's locked up more people of color than perhaps any living politician, I'd say. Yeah. I think that's probably true. Probably more than any living politician. Joe Biden is responsible for putting more people of color behind bars with his ridiculous, insane, and racist crime bill that he forced through. And now he says parts of it had some mistakes. He said that last night in the other night in the town hall. Yeah, did some parts of it have mistakes? You mean like all of it? And if you felt there were mistakes, why haven't you spent your last 20 years at least trying to overturn the goddamn thing? If you suddenly realized how racist it was and how much it was destroying communities and how much it was imprisoning people and how it turned America into the largest prison state in the fucking world, why would you not spend your time undoing it? Because he doesn't give a fuck. So even if you wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he didn't understand what it was going to do, then why hasn't he been working every day to try and undo it? Because he doesn't give a shit. So anyway, and all of this fits into kind of the overarching, I don't want to leave you without getting to the deeper thread. All of this fits into the overarching dilemma of capitalism, which is capitalism has a democracy problem. The oligarchs, the ruling elite, can't let everyone vote. They can't let everyone have agency, have free agency, and really decide what their lives are like. Because if they did, guess what? We'd all unite eventually and kick them the fuck out and distribute the wealth at least somewhat more evenly, rather than 3 individuals having 50% of all the wealth. And they know that they would lose out, that we would unite, we'd work together, you and me, your neighbors, your friends, everyone who's a worker would all come together. You'd have 90% of the nation united against a tiny number of 1% or something of the population, and it would destroy their little game of exploitation. So they need these things. They need racist policing. They need to knock people off the voting rolls. They need gerrymandering. They need to be able to purchase elections with money. All of those things are required for capitalism to maintain its exploitative system. And so you get back, even though this just seems like some numbers about people being arrested while standing, it all comes back to capitalism as a democracy problem. It does not like democracy. Democracy is a big thorn in its side. And so they find ways to continue the exploitation machine. All right, guys, I hope that you found this useful, and I hope you'll come back often. Remember, you are not going to be shown my videos. You probably have to go look them up at leecamp.com. I put these out every single weekday, except sometimes. And you can also check out my free podcasts. One is called Common Censored. The other is called Government Secrets. Definitely look those up. Seriously, give Government Secrets a try. See if you like what you hear. Me and Graham Elwood, it's every week. And I think that, I think you'd be a fan if you just check it out, Government Secrets. And also my book is at leecampbook.com. You can get 20% off by using the coupon code, the initials of the title, BPAPL. And my comedy special is free at leecampamerican.com. All right, please share this. Please click subscribe and keep fighting.